Home alone. For many of us, it's a cherished opportunity for solitude, a chance to enjoy our own company without interruption. But for others, it can be a gateway to some of the most terrifying experiences imaginable. Today, I'm going to share 5 disturbing true stories from people who experienced nightmarish situations while home alone. These aren't urban legends or creepypastas. These are real accounts from real people whose lives were forever changed by what happened when they found themselves alone in their homes. Let's start with our first story. This comes from a 30-year-old man who shared his experience online after it happened just last year. I live in a 2-floor house with my sister, what you might call a mother-daughter house, meaning it has 2 separate living spaces, each with its own kitchen. I take the upstairs, and my sister lives downstairs. She's not home much because she usually stays with her boyfriend, who lives about 20 miles away. Being 30, I shouldn't let being home alone freak me out, but sometimes it does. This particular night, I was alone in my living room watching a horror movie. My part of the house has an open layout, so the living room, dining room, and kitchen are all one big space. My couch sits in the middle, which means while watching TV, my back is to a large portion of the room behind me. Not the most comfortable setup when you're easily spooked. As I watched in the darkness, with only the glow from the TV providing any light, I kept glancing over my shoulder. After the movie ended, I brushed my teeth, turned off all the lights, and went to bed. I only slept for about 2 hours before waking up around 1 a.m. At first, I wasn't sure what had woken me, but then I heard a voice downstairs. It sounded like my sister. Not like she was calling for me to open the door. She sounded like she was already inside the house. I couldn't make out what she was saying, but I was still groggy and not thinking clearly. I figured she must be calling for me or maybe arguing with her boyfriend. I got out of bed and walked into the pitch-black hallway. I turned on the lights and made my way through the living room. As I approached the stairs, I heard my sister's voice again from downstairs. This time, I could understand she was saying my name. I headed down the stairs in the dark, calling out, "What is it?" I fumbled for the light switch in the downstairs foyer, but couldn't find it. I was still incredibly groggy. I walked down her hallway toward her kitchen, found a light switch, and flicked it on. The light started off dim and needed time to brighten up, but I could immediately see there was no one there. Not my sister, not her boyfriend, nobody. I checked her bedroom, but it was empty too. I called her name loudly one more time, and no one responded. But right after I yelled, I heard something drop to the floor in my sister's bedroom, the same bedroom I had just checked and found empty. I ran back upstairs like a frightened child and locked myself in my room. I tried calling my sister several times, but she didn't answer. Eventually, I fell back asleep, wondering if I had hallucinated the whole thing. In the morning, I woke up to a text from my sister asking why I had called her at 1 a.m. I asked if she had been home the night before, and she said no. She'd been at her boyfriend's house the entire time. I went downstairs to check her bedroom for whatever might have fallen, but there wasn't a single object on the floor that could have made that noise. I want to believe I hallucinated everything that night because the alternative is much more horrifying. But I've never hallucinated anything else in my life or had any sleep disorders. The vividness with which I heard my sister's voice and that sound in her room still makes my skin crawl whenever I think about it. Moving on to our second story. This one involves a teenager who was left home alone while his mother worked an overnight shift. I was left home alone a lot as a kid because my mom was single for much of my upbringing. She worked as an RN with an unpredictable schedule, and my older brother had gone away to college. This particular night, my mom was working overnight. It was a weekend, so I had invited a girl named Molly over. We were talking, watched a couple of movies, and hung out for a while. Eventually, she had to go home because her parents didn't want her out late. After she left, I was alone to hold down the fort. I continued watching TV in my bedroom upstairs. My room is next to the backyard, so when someone dragged one of the chairs on the deck outside, I heard it clearly. I got up and looked out the window, and I saw someone sitting on one of the deck chairs below. I called Molly's name, thinking she might have come back for some reason. After all, she'd only left about 10 minutes earlier. Whoever it was looked up at me, but it wasn't Molly. I immediately ducked away from the window to hide. This wasn't anyone I recognized, at least not in the darkness. I texted a few close friends in our group chat asking if one of them was messing with me. Those who answered all said no and asked what I was talking about. I didn't really believe any of my friends would come to my house to mess with me like that anyway. Scared but still curious, I slowly walked back to the window to look down again. That person was still sitting in the chair, looking up at my window. It was definitely a man, and he definitely saw me. I hurried away from the window again and turned off my TV. I sat on my bed, curled up in a ball with my arms wrapped around my knees. I waited in darkness, not even wanting to turn my phone screen on because I was afraid he'd see the light. I didn't even want to move because my window was open, and I feared he'd hear any movement I made. I wanted him to think I was no longer in the bedroom. After what felt like 5 solid minutes of sitting there, I doubted the man could still be outside. I finally gathered enough courage to get up and look out the window again. I felt a part of me die inside when I saw he was still down there, still looking up at my window. Instead of running away again, I tried to be brave and called down to him, "What do you want?" His shoulders started to go up and down as if he was laughing really hard, but he didn't make any audible laughing sounds at first. Then I heard a slight whistling sound coming from him. It seemed like he was laughing so hard that he was wheezing. I asked him to please go away and walked away from the window again. I went back to my bed, too scared to call the police for some reason. After a while, I left my room and sat at the top of the stairway, listening. The back door was being pushed. He was trying to get into the house. I ran back to my room to hide. Eventually, I heard the front doorknob being fiddled with, and the man tried to push the front door open as well. He gave up quickly, thank God. I closed my bedroom window and curtains. If our doors hadn't been locked, I could have been killed easily. I was skinny and weak at 14, definitely not a fighter. I didn't leave my room again that night until my mom got home around 9 a.m. I told her what happened, and she was furious with me for not calling 911. In hindsight, that was incredibly stupid of me. One of many things I did, or rather didn't do, at a young age that I question greatly now.